Welcome to Focus on Health, a series of educational programs highlighting current health issues sponsored by the School of Nursing at Salisbury University. I'm Dr. Mary DiBartolo, Professor of Nursing at Salisbury University and host of the program. I welcome John Jordan. You are a PharmD Senior Director of Pharmacy Services at TidalHealth. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me here today.
And we have some very exciting news to talk about. It's all good news, it seems, for the most part, about COVID. We're going to talk about COVID and the vaccine. And I know one of the things we wanted to start out with was, here we are a year away from when this first hit the country, and we're a few months out from the vaccine. But let's first talk about the numbers of COVID, because they're going down, aren't they?
Yeah, recently we had that big surge that we saw after the holidays, and many of us were very concerned, but very positive right now. When you look at the curves from the state of Maryland and across the nation, many states are seeing a significant drop in those numbers, which is great. So hospitalizations are trending down, and they are down, and discharges are in a good place. So we're much better now than we were several weeks ago.
I know, it's so encouraging, and I guess, what are the reasons for that? It's not just the vaccine, is it?
No, I think it's too early to really see the effects of the vaccine. When you talk about impact of vaccine, it's going to take several months, a lot more people getting it. I think it's, we saw that surge around the holiday time, a lot of people not doing the appropriate social distancing, which, you have to, people want to be with their family, they want to get together, and I think we saw the effects of that with the quick spread of the virus in many people. Yeah.
Right. I know you also wanted to discuss the numbers as far as the vaccine goes.
Yes, it's been a great launch so far. When you look at the country as a whole, we talked about how many people we want to get vaccinated for herd immunity. We want 70 to 85%. Right now we're at about 13.1% in the nation, which is good, that have received a first dose. 2 doses in about 5.5% of patients in the country, which is great. Maryland, we're tracking a little bit behind that, close to 12% in the state that have received their first dose, and again about 5.5% that have received their second dose. So you're talking 60-some million out there that have received some sort of vaccination dose, which is great. We have a long way to go, to get that herd immunity that we want to see, but very positive so far with the number of vaccinations that we're seeing, and it continues to rise every day, which is great to see.
Well, the 2 main ones that are out there are the Pfizer and the Moderna, and both require 2 shots and special storage requirements.
Yes.
So I guess it is amazing we're doing as well as we are with all of this going on and so many people that actually want it. But we do know there's some people that are hesitant about it. We have a term for that, vaccine hesitancy.
Sure.
So I'd like to take a little time to help address some of the concerns that I know we both have been hearing about why people are a little leery about getting the vaccine. I know you and I have both had it, so
sure, absolutely.
And we both had minimal side effects, and I know I feel great about the fact that I've had it, because
100%
the vaccine is just such a relief in a way, and it's exciting.
Sure.
So talk about how the vaccine was developed. I know a lot of people have worries it was developed too quick, but in fact it really wasn't. It's been a technology that's been around for 10 years plus. So talk about the mRNA technology.
Absolutely. So mRNA technology isn't new. It's just difficult when you look at how you have to, the criteria that you have to store the vaccine, to make it available to everybody. It presented some problems. So the technology itself isn't new. It was just never really looked at because of the requirements of ultra cold and cold storage. So if you look at both the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines, they both require some sort of cold storage after they're produced. Negative 20 degrees Celsius for the Moderna, and up to negative 70 to negative 80 for the Pfizer vaccine, which again just creates a little bit of challenge. And when you think about other options available, people also often go the road of adenovirus or other technology to develop their vaccine. So the mRNA technology itself has been there. It's interesting because it gets into the cells. It kind of tells the cells to produce a certain protein that then the body recognizes as not normal and actually starts to produce antibodies against it. So it doesn't change your DNA. It doesn't alter your DNA. It's just basically telling your body to go ahead and make this antibody against a certain protein that we see in the coronavirus itself, and
it's
that's
that
how they work.
spike protein, correct? That red thing you see on all the renderings of the COVID virus.
Exactly right. It's producing antibodies against that spike protein, and that's what it's doing. And then the mRNA actually gets taken away and consumed by the cell, and it's gone. So it does its job and then gets out. It's not changing our DNA.
And that technology's been used for other.
It's been in development for others. This is the first big scale use of it, but the technology's always been around. It's always been investigated, again, just due to the logistics of storage and making, mass producing it. That's really what's held it up. But from a technology standpoint, it's not new.
But the good thing about it is it's very effective, isn't it? Talk
Yes.
about the effectiveness of it, what
Sure.
we know. We have numbers.
Sure. Well, both Moderna and Pfizer had 2 trials that are ongoing still, but they released some data early on that shows 94 to 95% efficacy, and that's in preventing people from getting the infection. So when you look at the numbers within the trials, you saw a 95% decrease in the number of people who actually got the coronavirus infection during the time they were studying it, which is great. The thing is, the newer ones that are coming out, which we'll hopefully talk about a little bit more, they don't look as efficacious right now, but the important thing to understand is that whether you're looking at the Moderna, the Pfizer, the Johnson & Johnson, the other ones that are coming out, the AstraZeneca, when you look at severe disease, which is what we're really talking about in the hospital, and that includes hospitalizations and deaths, all of these seem to be 99 to 100% effective at preventing that severe disease, which is really important. So efficacy is great. The 2 we have out now, 94, 95% efficacious, but the severe disease, we're hitting close to 100%. And even these newer ones that are coming out against the current strains, we're seeing some good results, which is great.
I know that is just really good news because there's not many vaccines that hit that number, are there?
No, I mean, it's really unprecedented to see how quick and how effective. These are probably some of the most scrutinized developments that have been going on, and we'll talk about that a little bit when we talk about adverse events, with how much is involved with monitoring these vaccines and the production. So tens of thousands of people in the clinical trials, 30, 40,000 plus. Those numbers just aren't normally hit in the rate which they had. So it gives me some comfort because we like to follow the science, and when I see tens of thousands of people involved in these trials, and I see the 95% efficacy with regards to decreasing the infection, that's outstanding.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about the side effects. What are some
Sure.
of the things we're seeing? Or I know I've heard about them. When I had the
Yeah.
shot, I just had a little mild arm soreness, but I know some people have had fatigue and other things.
Sure, yeah, me too. So when I had my second shot, my first shot, which is a little arm soreness, my second shot, same thing, arm soreness, and then I was pretty tired the next day. The big things that they're seeing are headache, fatigue. Some people talk about dizziness. So when you look at those type of mild adverse effects, they're really what we expected to see. And it's more with the second dose. So people get their first dose and they feel generally pretty well. They get their second dose and we're seeing more of those. But again, they're generally mild reactions. Dizziness, fatigue, that headache that people get. So nothing unexpected. So when you look at it, you're always watching out for these serious adverse effects that pop up. And we're just not seeing a lot of that, which is great. And again, the scrutiny and just the overall comprehensive monitoring that's going on of the adverse effects with these vaccines is very impressive. You have the FDA's program, which is the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, which is voluntary. And then you actually have a program called vSafe, which was developed specifically for these vaccines to monitor them. And so a lot of data is being collected about the safety of these vaccines.
Well, doesn't that mean it's working too?
Absolutely.
That's what
it
they
is
say.
working.
I had Dr. Joyner on from TidalHealth, and he said that means it's working.
Absolutely.
I mean, no one likes to feel bad for a day or two, but it means it's working, and if it means you don't get COVID, I think that's a minor trade-off.
Sure, it gives you comfort, and and the other thing is they don't last long. So if you do get some symptoms, associated with the vaccine, it's gone after 24 to 48 hours in a majority of people. So it's not like lingering, bad side effects with it. And you're right, comfort definitely increases with knowing that you're protected. Still have to do all the right stuff, wear
Right.
your mask, social distance, but and it's great to see. And that's how we're going to get, to the next phase, which is get that herd immunity and hopefully see a significant decrease in the numbers.
Now, I know you did want to address the fact that there are some very rare cases of anaphylaxis
Sure.
or reaction, and more significant reaction, which is why you have to wait around for 15 minutes after you get the
Absolutely.
vaccine. However, the numbers are fairly comparable to most other vaccines, aren't they?
Sure. Again, with the scrutiny, anything that happens is going to be publicized. And that's good. We want to watch it and see what's going on. But when you look at the rate of anaphylaxis with the vaccines that we're following now, you're seeing about 4.5 cases of anaphylaxis per million doses with these COVID vaccines right now. And if you compare that to like other vaccines that are available, whether it be influenza, pneumococcal, zoster vaccinations, in the neighborhood of 1.2, 2.5 anaphylaxis cases per million doses given, up to 9. Anaphylaxis cases per million. So when you look at where the COVID vaccine anaphylaxis reactions fit in, again, not unexpected and not what we haven't seen with other currently FDA-approved vaccines in the country.
So did you say it's about 4 cases out of a million?
About 4.5, yeah, about 4.5 cases per million doses administered. So again, it's not like we're not going to see it. It's all about being prepared. So early on, we knew it was going to happen. We know how to treat anaphylaxis. Not saying it's not dangerous. It's very dangerous, but we know how to treat it. We have epinephrine available. We have monitoring that's going on. We have trained healthcare providers right there ready to go. And any of these clinics, as they develop, will have the capability to treat that reaction should it happen. But it is a very rare reaction. And not unexpected again.
Right, right.
Yep.
I did want to give you an opportunity to dispel a few myths.
Okay.
I even hate to bring them up because
Sure.
most of them are just, unfounded myths that are circulating on social media and such about, side effects and whatnot.
Yeah, we have to trust the science, and really, so when you look at, we have a morbidity and mortality weekly report, and they just looked at the first 13 million doses the month of these drugs being available, and they looked at adverse effects, and they focused in, and it's exactly what we said. It's that headache, it's the fatigue, it's the dizziness. As far as these other myths about infertility and things like that, nothing at this point's been proven. So it's about following the science, following the evidence that's out there, and right now we really just don't see any evidence of unexpected serious adverse events with these vaccines. So the comfort level has definitely gotten better.
Well, good. That's what that's what I think we all are hoping for. That there's going to be a group of people that didn't want to get it right off the bat. They wanted to wait and see. But I think we're starting to see the numbers say it's pretty safe, pretty effective.
Absolutely, and I was one of those people up front. I wanted to let my frontline healthcare workers get it. Wanted to see how things were going with them, and I was quick when I was able to get it. Jumped right in and got mine. But you want the people that need the vaccine to get it and make it available to them. But as far as hesitating to get it, everybody's going to have a choice. But I'm much more comfortable seeing the numbers and seeing what's out there compared to where I was 6 months ago.
Right, right. I know I've been spreading the word because it felt great. I had no side effects, and then I happened to give blood a couple weeks later, and they tested my antibodies, and I had a positive response. Already had antibodies within 2 weeks.
That's
so
great.
I thought it's working for
There
me.
you go.
And
there you go.
To me, that's a good sign.
I think we all wonder that. So after we get the doses, we always wonder, are we protected? And you're our proof that absolutely.
Well, N of 1, but I found out that I had antibodies, and I had never had COVID that I know of, and I was getting tested. Working at SU, I have to get tested every month, and I've been negative all along.
That's good.
Yep.
That's good.
Now, the other thing I know you wanted to talk about is these variants. We're hearing a lot about that.
Yeah. So when you look at how viruses mutate, it's not new. Viruses have always mutated. We've known that forever with the influenza virus. Mutations in a genetic material happen. It's a question of how many mutations occur, and then does it change the genome within that actual virus itself? And that's kind of what happens. So you have two things that are kind of at play. Number one, you have mutations that are occurring. And are those mutations significant enough to basically create a new, what we call variant or strain of that virus? And that's what we're really focused on. And right now there's 3 different variants that are out there. UK variant, the South African variant, and there's another one in Brazil. Now with each variant becomes different virulence, which means how aggressive is it in the body? Different transmissibility. How easy is it to spread from one person to another? And that's where those variants are really at play. Some are easier to transmit, some are maybe a little more virulent. What we're hoping is that these vaccines that we have available are going to be effective. We know against the UK strain looks really promising, looks to be effective. The South African strain, we're not 100% sure yet. There's a lot of discussion about, are we going to have maybe a booster dose or some sort of change to help out with that strain? But what we don't know, and it gets back to what we were talking about with the severe disease, hospitalizations and death. I'm pretty comfortable that it's going to help in some way, because we always talk about the flu vaccine, and the joke it is, oh, I'm not getting it because it never works. Whether you believe it or not, it works. Even if it doesn't hit right on, you're always having some form of protection. And are we going to see the same thing with these COVID vaccines? And I believe, again, waiting for the science, but I believe there's going to be some efficacy. Might it be decreased? Yes. But how will it impact that severe disease to prevent hospitalizations and death? That's really what we want to prevent.
Absolutely. That's the worst outcome.
Absolutely.
Now, I also heard or read, because I try to keep up with the science, that it's important that we get the vaccine out quickly, because that might help reduce the mutations.
Yes.
The more people that get vaccinated, that will help reduce the chance of it mutating.
Sure. If you have a virus that's just out there existing and spreading wildly, it's going to mutate easier. But if you get the numbers down and you keep things in control, as we say, it's going to be a lot less likely to be able to jump around and mutate. So yes, if we can get more people vaccinated and get that herd immunity, the hope is eventually we're going to see this go down substantially. And that's why we need, millions and, if not billions of doses. So that's why 3, 4, and 5 companies need to be out there producing vaccine. And that's why the new ones that are getting ready to hit the market, that are in phase 3 trials right now being studied, we're anxious to get those approved and available, because the more doses we get available, the more arms we can inject, the better off it is for everybody.
And I know you wanted to briefly talk about the 2 new ones that are coming out,
Sure.
Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca, and you think there'll be a 5th by the end of the year.
Yeah, there's several that Glaxo's been on the list. I've seen several others that have been, being talked about, and a lot of people will ask, why do we need so many? One company can't produce billions of doses in a year, and that's really what we need when you look at it. You want the world to be vaccinated whenever possible. So these newer ones are still in phase 3, so they're being investigated, but they should be available soon for use. And they're going to offer a little bit different storage. They're not going to require, since they're not mRNA technology, they're not going to require this ultra cold and this cold storage. One's a one-shot. So the Johnson & Johnson one is a single-shot vaccine. Refrigeration, not needing freezer. So it's very good to see these options that are available.
Yeah, the one shot seems like a big advantage.
Huge.
Now, it's not quite as effective, but it's still worthwhile getting any vaccine when you have the chance, because it seems like there's a lot more people now that want the vaccine that can't get it. And I know part of it is the supply and getting it out there to places where people can access it. And I know we're having discussions about how do we get it out to minorities and people that just don't have as much access to these kind of things. That's
important, is actually getting to those people that don't have access. And that's where we're focused right now, and other institutions are focused on getting out to those high-risk patients that can't reach you. But yeah, making available single-dose shots, more vaccine, getting it in the hands of the pharmacies, so getting it in the hands of the CVS, the Walmarts, Sam's Clubs, that's going to be key, because more people have access to their local pharmacies maybe than the health system. We still need to be a big part of it, and we want to be, whether it's developing bigger clinics or whatever, we want to be part of that. But making it more available to remote locations is absolutely key.
And getting it to our seniors, especially those in nursing homes and congregate living, that's been a challenge as well. What do you think about the booster? What's going on with that? We're hearing rumors that now we might all need a booster someday, but I guess for now we're just trying to take care of the initial, vaccination.
Sure. There's several things that, that are, I'm kind of hearing that are out there, and the first being that, the 2-dose vaccines are 2-dose vaccines. There's a lot of debate right now about should we just be doing 1 dose, and this kind of gets back to the whole discussion about science versus opinion. The science suggests both the Moderna and the Pfizer are two doses, 3 to 4 weeks apart, depending upon which one you get. If there's a little bit of delay, there's some information that says out to 6 weeks, looks like it's fine to give, but we need to make sure 2 doses are getting into people. Then you have that wonder about months down the road. Booster comes into discussion when you talk about variants and you talk about waning efficacy. So are we losing our immunogenicity, at that point, are our antibody levels dropping? So I think you'll see boosters for 2 reasons. Boosters will try to attack those variants. They're studying hard now to see, can we develop a booster from our current technology to basically augment the current vaccine response? And then the other thing is, will we need boosters just to maintain antibody levels? So boosters, I think, will be something that will be coming, but we don't have enough evidence yet as to what it'll look like, what the schedule will be, and how often it'll be.
Well, I also think we need to emphasize, as you've said many times, that there is 10 years plus of science behind this, because we know there are people in this country that are very suspicious of science
Sure.
or concerned about,
Sure.
past issues with research from decades ago. But we certainly have come a long way in terms of the testing that we're doing, and you're saying this is unprecedented, all
Never.
the follow-up that's being done to make sure this vaccine is safe and effective.
Most scrutinized and comprehensive development, launch, and that I've ever been a part of. And like I said, it's only been 25 years that I've been a pharmacist, but still to see something, it's amazing. To see, we had a virus that was new to us, just a little over a year ago, and here we are with vaccinating people and seeing immunity and seeing people hopefully get their lives saved by getting the vaccine. That's outstanding in my mind from the medical community.
And you're protecting yourself and other people, so that's really important.
Yep.
Especially our vulnerable populations, our older adults and so forth.
Sure.
So all very important. It's just right now it seems like a challenge is just the supply seems to have curtailed a bit, and people are ready to get it and just having trouble signing up or getting in line to get a shot. So I know I've had people ask me, and I just say be persistent, just keep going in to the places where you think you have a shot at getting the shot, and just be persistent. Any tips you want to give on that?
No, I think exactly that. Just be in the category that's considered at risk right now. I think everybody knows they want to get it, but you need to be in that category right now that's at risk, so we can make sure our at-risk population is taken care of. I have a feeling within the next couple months we're going to have a lot more supply with 2 new approvals coming, Pfizer and Moderna ramping up production as best they can. So we all want it as quick as possible, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
So should they contact the health department or their physician, or go to the TidalHealth website, or
right now I would
do?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now I would look to the local pharmacies. If you look at TidalHealth, we're still focused on at-risk populations, so we're not soliciting outside. We're contacting people that are at risk. I think the pharmacies are picking up the slack there, and I've heard that maybe down the road we'll be talking about like other states are doing, maybe large clinics where you're going to see more mass vaccinations going on. So there's been a lot of discussion about the best way to get this into arms of people, but right now it's a little bit of a supply issue. We're not seeing the same supply that we were seeing early on, but I think a lot of that has to do with the shift in focus. So they're making a little bit of a shift from the healthcare system, where we had access to those frontline workers, we had access to the healthcare workers, we got everything set up. Now I think they're shifting to now how can we get it out to the rest of the population? So engaging those pharmacies and looking for other ways to get it into people.
Well, thank you so much, John, for coming on the program. After a year of doom and gloom, it seems like there's finally maybe a light at the end of the tunnel.
Absolutely.
It won't be normal, but pretty close to it.
Yeah, I think we can all feel very comfortable that we have effective vaccines that appear to be safe and are doing what we hoped they would do.
Very good. Yep. Thank you again.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for this edition of Focus on Health here on PAC 14.